And we are live. GM guys, GM Myra,
Good morning. Good morning.
how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Everything fine. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Oh,
Uh, it's a great presentation today for the Block Magic Hackathon. We have the chance to talk a little bit about how we can join the Web3 industry, and you have the presentation for the attendees. So it's your turn, Myra.
yeah, awesome. Well, hello, hackers and Link Marines. I'm so excited to be joining y'all again this season for the Block Magic Hackathon. So, just a quick little intro, as Varun was saying, my name is Myra. So, I'm a talent partner here at Chainlink Labs. My focus is primarily non-technical. So, if any of you have ever interviewed across, marketing, finance, go-to-market, et cetera, we've probably touched point. So, feel free to ever leverage me on anything that is about all of our non-technical teams. But today I'll be sharing some insider scoops, some recruiter tips and tricks to help you all. And we'll start it off talking about, just general tips and tricks that can help you. And we'll also kind of highlight some of the specific roles and teams that are currently hiring at Chainlink, as well as tricks and tips for the interview process as well. So we'll go through the entire basically interview pipeline on that. So starting off, putting on the hat to think like a recruiter. There's really big advantages to taking some time to think like a recruiter, looking at, what is it that recruiters are looking for? How can you market yourself? And what are some of those things that they do so that you can apply to your LinkedIn profiles or your resumes and whatnot to make you stand out and essentially almost like raise your personal SEO score, your personal score that's going to get you to the top of the application pool or get you to the top of a LinkedIn search, etc. One of the best hidden secrets that recruiters leverage are Boolean searches. So if you're not familiar with what a Boolean search, it's essentially using like little key tags similar to this, that you see right here. And you'll use this in a string to search. Now, this is a universal search, so you can truly plug this into Twitter if you're trying to look into something that is going to, I don't know, if you want to look at, Chainlink and tokenization, you can plug that into Twitter, you can plug it into Google, or LinkedIn. But the whole point is that you use these keywords and you separate them using ands or ors or avoiding. And with these keywords that you pull from a job description or that we'll pull from our intake forms or job descriptions, we put this into the search bars, and then that's how we find the profiles or the resumes that we end up looking for. So going through some of the products offerings that we have, if you want to help support those, some of the keywords that we'll use, for example, for our data products like feeds or streams, is obviously we'll look for data feeds because that's something that is transferable from Web 2 as well. Real-time streaming or RTS are ways that I'll substitute or abbreviate that, and I'll include it in the search similar, exactly actually how you see this parentheses in the or in all caps there. Low latency, again, that's something that you see very common that's going to be transferable from, Web 2 or high frequency trading or HFT that you see more commonly in TradFi currently. And yeah, but quick notes there is feeds is obviously going to be a little bit more universal, but whenever you are leveraging maybe that derivatives background or something coming from the BCM world or banking capital markets world, you're probably going to want to leverage a little bit more of that high frequency trading side, and that's going to be more applicable to streams. Okay, so from the CCIP end, and this, can also work for, again, just a variety of our different roles. This is going to be focused on the product rather than the specific team. But here you'll see things like cross-chain or multi-chain or omni-chain or bridge. This asterisk that I put there is basically an indicator for the Boolean search that I want really anything that has like BRIDG included. So that way, if it says bridge or bridging, it will pick up both of those. Other things, interoperability, messaging, stuff like that. Again, more keywords that I'll add into a Boolean search to look for profiles that we can source for CCIP support. Now, when you look on the compute side, functions. So some things that I'll look for when if I'm recruiting for functions or some of our computes more specifically, I'll look for serverless, developer-facing services, developer services. Also, I didn't include it here, but could be added is like developer toolings, APIs, SDKs, sandboxing. Again, think of things that could be transferable, right? We understand here that a lot of what Chainlink is doing, most all of what Chainlink is doing is brand new to technology or to Web3. So most of the time when we're going to be sourcing for these, we're going to be sourcing for Web 2 experience that's transferable. So we'll think about ways or think about things that currently exist that are very transferable skills, and we'll search for that as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the current openings we have at Chainlink, and we're putting a lot of manpower behind right now. Also noting, these are not our only openings. If you've checked out our career page, which I'll link at the end, we have what feels like a bajillion openings across pretty much every single department right now. So these are just highlighting some of the big ones and most commonly applied to roles that we have or teams. And I'm happy to go over any other specific openings that maybe catch y'all's eye as well during a Q&A at the end. But looking at the product team. So one thing that Chainlink really emphasizes when looking for product managers is having that experience in like basically discussing and having discourse over, the launches from 0 to 1. What does that mean? I want to see that you joined the team pre-launch as a product manager, whether it's from the ideation, POC stage, but I want to see you carrying that life cycle to launch and even further, right? When are there updates, things like that. Things that you're going to want to highlight in an interview or whenever you are posting a little summary on LinkedIn or in your resume is you want to highlight where was the product whenever you joined the team and when you started this role, and where is the product whenever you're leaving or like currently if it's your current position. We want to know about the impact that you've had. We'll highlight again later, but even one of our key principles is ownership. Tell me what you owned, how you owned that, and how you delivered. Okay, so software engineers and test. Some of the roles that we have right now, we have a few different openings, by the way, but ranging from mid to senior levels. I don't have years of experience listed on some of these, including this one, just because we are flexible. We're going to be looking more so at the technical abilities, and you'll have technical coding challenges and calls throughout the interview process. But we would look for some experience with AWS here, Docker, Terraform, performance testing, Playwright, GitHub. It's another thing, guys. Definitely post as much as you can. Treat GitHub like active social media. We love to see, all the repositories and things that you have there because it will show us, what you've done. So definitely make sure that your GitHub is always up to date if you are on the technical side. And then security testing as well here. So for our Rust engineers, again, we have a lot of openings here. Engineers overall are in really high demand. But Rust, it's really in the name, but Rust here. Also a little bit flexible here when it comes to the experience. Ideally, we'd like to see like relevant blockchain. But that again, we understand that sometimes things need to be transferable. Having that passion, which all of you who have joined this call and who are plugged in today have that there. So leverage it as much as possible, even if it is personal or from a hackathon project. Okay, staff software engineering and integration tooling. So this is a senior opening that we have. We actually have a few that could also range from different levels of seniority, from the staff, principal, and managing levels. But ideally, this is going to be focused backend with, Golang being emphasized here as well as TypeScript. Now, moving a little bit to the non-technical side. So in go-to-market, we have a BPM that we call our Blockchain Partnerships Manager opening. This is definitely going to be a senior profile, hence the manager in the title, but we're really looking for somebody who has deep sales experience and at a large scale within the space, right? Ideally, one thing to also keep in mind is Chainlink is a very technical company. All of our product and service offerings are for other technical people. So when you come to interview, we want to know we're going to be digging on that technical understanding. You don't, and if you're not a developer, that's totally fine, but understand how do these different protocols work? How do like the integrations, like what sets them apart? Questions like that are what's going to be commonly coming up. And so when we highlight that blockchain knowledge, again, make sure you understand how these different protocols and projects that you're talking about work. Definitely come ready to talk about your opinions as well, and just your thoughts on, new types of technology or trends going on in the space. And then when talking about those new types of trends in tech, also please throw in project names and protocols that you're playing with. I always highlight this whenever I have people that I'm interviewing, that it's always a difference whenever you're researching a type of technology than whenever you're a user. Many of you probably understand this. Like, you can research DeFi day in, day out, but the moment you're hopping on, a launch pad or you're looking into LSDs and LSTs, like it's very different whenever you're plugging in as an actual user on chain. So play around with as many protocols as you can. We're not saying dump thousands of dollars, but get yourself some hands-on experience, and maybe play around with different protocols so you can kind of talk about the differences of, something that's going to be on Solana versus Ethereum, or et cetera, et cetera. You can take that in a million different directions, though. Okay, so finance. I have quite a few different openings in finance, but decided to leave this a little bit more general for y'all. One thing, again, I think I always call DeFi Chainlink's first love. That's, a market that, again, was our first love. It's where we really first kind of got to be growing our community. So we want to hear about you interacting on chain as well as off chain, right? And I think it's totally okay, 100% okay for this experience to come from your personal uses. Like I just said, it's always great to play around on chain, but it's great also to kind of see where that cross has been just from your personal experience as well. Some of the openings that I have within finance will range. Right now, I'm looking from everything from like an algorithm trading, like as a quant financial engineer, to treasury, accounting, FP&A. Pretty much all of the verticals right now within finance have some openings, as we are experiencing hypergrowth in these teams and would love new members. So please, if you are interested in a finance role and are not sure which team you would fall under the best, let me know. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me your CV or your LinkedIn via Twitter, and I'll take a look and I'll say, hey, maybe we can, pivot towards the treasury team or go towards the FP&A team and whatnot. Okay, so taking a step back again to the engineering side, we're also looking for a senior data engineer. This is going to be a more senior role. Ideally, this would be somebody with 5+ years of experience, but again, flexible. Don't let the years of experience hold you back. If you are an engineering prodigy, we will definitely take that into account. We are focused more on the technical attributes rather than the years of experience. But here we'll highlight Kafka, Python, SQL, Scala, Airflow, etc. Real-time systems and big data experience is also huge here. And this is going to be ideally in APAC or Europe, based, I guess, individual that gets hired here. Also, things to note, Chainlink has started adding geolocations, more specifically on the job description. So definitely look at those if you are planning to apply. But again, backend software engineers. So this is probably our most widely demanded role right now, just in general. But we're looking for all sorts of engineers, backend engineers that are going to be ranging from mid to senior levels. Here, there is not a specific language that you need. So strengthen at least one of these that is listed. So within Golang, Java, C++, .NET, Python, Erlang, Elixir, or Rust would be great. We're flexible. So note that some of the engineering roles will do their projects in Golang, but we are definitely flexible when it comes to the languages that we look for and accept. Okay. And then for the BizOps side, so business operations is an interesting team, right? This is a team that sits within finance and the operation aspects. This is going to be where we look for profiles that maybe are people that are coming from some of the big consulting firms and then have gone in-house, focus on strategy and business deliverables. I have a couple different openings on this team. So sorry, I have hiccups now, but another instance here where we're open to like the years of experience and the levelings and whatnot. The biggest thing here is knowing the problem solving skills that you've delivered on, whether, again, that is at an agency or consulting firm or in-house at a blockchain company. I'll say the more senior that the role gets. So if we're looking at a BizOps manager, for example, we're going to prioritize those who have had a mixture of both agency and in-house, as we call it, or from a firm, and then have gone in-house to another project. But overall, what we really want to see is you, again, demonstrating those problem solvings, the strategy operation side, focused within blockchain. So blockchain infrastructure, digital assets, things of that sort, that is what's going to be attractive to us in terms of the types of strategy you've worked on. Other things, this is also another very important role to be briefed and have a deep understanding of blockchain, because again, it is focused on the strategy and the operations side, right? You have to really understand what's going on in the space, where Chainlink's going to fit there to be able to deliver on a strategy. So if you are interested in a BizOps role and you're going to come into an interview with me, please be ready to go take a peek down the blockchain rabbit hole and start talking about some of the trends in the space that excite you, projects, and we'll definitely have a fun moment geeking out on all of the trends and use cases that are going on. Personally, I love interviewing for these roles because it's a fun time to, just degen and talk about what's going on in the space. Another role that's going to be great for my degens on the call. So we have a protocol specialist open. This is a new type of role because this does not exist in Web2 or in TradFi. But essentially, I'm looking for somebody mid-level for this role. So it doesn't have to be anybody really, really senior. But I'm looking for somebody who's really passionate about blockchain, who's really passionate about DAOs, and just understands the space from, that communal, that degen side. I jokingly say that some of my roles require buttoned up degens, and this is one of those. But essentially, what I'm looking for is somebody who has experience within DAOs, a big preference for the DAOs that are, foundation or protocol led. DeFi DAOs are wonderful, again, for an example. And then having that BD or relationship management experience is also a big plus here. We're looking for somebody to really kind of help us make sure that we are knowledgeable and briefed on DAOs, how they're functioning, and making sure that, we nurture those relationships as well. This role, I'm ideally looking for somebody located in the EMEA or APAC regions. It's not a high priority where we can or must have where we have people in these regions, but just given kind of where we're expanding and the markets, these are our preferred areas. So if you find yourself in the US or in Latino America, totally fine. Don't feel like you can't apply for the roles or talk to me. This is just preferred here again. Okay, so, and if you love being a part of hackathons, putting on hackathons, then the DevRel marketing manager opening that I have right now would be a good one for you. So this is a senior role. I'm looking for somebody who does have managerial experience because they will be managing a small team here. But ideally, this person is going to have that DevRel marketing experience. Again, marketing towards developers, that content marketing campaigns, hosting things or putting things on like hackathons and whatnot is going to be the forte here. So anything that's in that bubble would be great. And then again, industry knowledge, awesome here. If you're not full-blown degen, that is totally okay. But understanding kind of the toolings, trends, and use cases in the space and having at least an interest to that and taking that initiative throughout the process will definitely be good here. Okay, now reiterating again, y'all, remember your Web2 experience can be very, very transferable. At the end of the day, a lot of us on my team are looking for people who have the transferable skills. So take some time, create a list of the skills that you have, and then think about how are those transferable to Web3? How can you apply that to the Web3 version of yourself? Now, some resume tips. I've been seeing a lot of social media posts lately talking about how you can gear your resume towards, being filtered, like when you're being filtered by AI. AI is something that's really increasing everywhere, right? From ChatGPT to different plugins that might help recruiters like screen for resumes. We are not using that yet, but it's a thing that's kind of blowing up throughout various industries. So it's not, and I saw this thing, I can't say if it's true or not, but there's a theory that the way that you format your resume could potentially be picked up more than other formats. So one thing that I always know is it's really important to make sure that you have the qualifications, keywords, and all of those stand out. So whether it's a human or a robot that's vetting your resume, there's no doubt that you can be a fit for the role. Little things that you can do to help is, first of all, make sure that you're tailoring your resumes to the proper role. I know one thing that I would do if I was in like the shoes of somebody who's applying to roles is I would make sure that I have basically like a master general copy of my resume. And then when applying to a role, take about 5-10 minutes to make sure that the role that you're applying to, look at that job description and make sure that the words that they're using in that exact job description are being used in my resume. One thing to note that's great is the qualifications, like having a qualifications and skills section at the top with, bullet points of these different things is really wonderful. And you can even go further in saying, if you're applying to, I keep using DeFi as an example. So let's talk about DeFi. If you're applying to a DeFi specific role, at the bottom of your qualifications, you can have DeFi experience, and you can maybe list the protocols that you're playing around with, or to what capacity you're playing around with them. If you want to put experience with LPs or liquidity pools or launchpads, whatever it is, you can all have that listed there. And again, some of those keywords that are used in the resume, it's a really great way to exercise being able to use those. From the job description to use those in your resume. Under that, I would put your work experience. So that way you have your qualification keywords kind of listed at the top and then your work experience. Another thing that I kind of always urge people is whenever you're putting those bullet points or you have the summary for each one of your roles, list them from the highest priority to the lowest priority. One thing you'll notice on job descriptions that in the requirement sections or the skills and or qualification sections of those job descriptions, the highest priority things or the biggest non-negotiables that hiring teams are looking for are going to be listed at the top. You can basically kind of assume that it's going to be listed from highest priority to least priority. So match those to your resume. When you have that summary, if you see that, closing big deals in Web3 is listed at the very top of the skills and qualifications section. When you're talking about your work experience, list the size of the deals that you've been closing, and then so on and matching that. Another thing that I tell people is recruiters are vetting hundreds and to thousands of resumes a week, if not in a day, of inbound applicants. So any little thing that you can do to help that recruiter or to help, potentially even that AI for other, developing projects and whatnot, but anything to help scan your resume quicker is going to help you. So one way to do that is leverage boldings. Totally cool. I absolutely love it when I reach a resume and all of the things that are relevant to what I'm looking for are bolded. It's eye candy to me. You get brownie points if you do that because you're making it easier on my brain. So definitely do that and help out your recruiters or whoever is screening your resumes. Another thing to know, less is definitely more when it comes to resumes. I know that there's some templates that are out there that make things all colorful and snazzy and just, very aesthetically appealing. Don't worry about that. I would say if you create a Google Doc resume, before when I was being pursued by Chainlink, my resume came from Google Docs. I didn't make a snazzy resume or pull a template off of, the web or Microsoft or anything like that. I literally just put it in Google Docs. I think it's totally fine. You have the relevant information there and you have it prioritized and you have it ordered. And then again, you also kind of limit that risk if you are applying to a company that's ATS or applicant tracking system does leverage AI or some sort of screening tool. You're most likely to get picked up by that screening tool if you have something in like a Google Doc or that's not templated in tables. For some reason, like tools don't pick up tables as easily. So that's going to be a really good way to make sure that the words and the verbiage that you're using in your resume is actually going to be picked up. Okay. Now it's time to apply. So things that I would really kind of just urge y'all whenever it comes to applying. Again, make sure your resumes are tailored. I know it takes a little bit of extra time and you might have a ton of resumes starting to build up on your files, but it really does go a long way when we see that. But also be selective about the roles that you're applying to. Make sure that you meet the skills and qualifications for that role. And you're not just going to be applying to roles left and right, because that's going to make the time that you're using for tailoring your application and your resume more useful, more efficient, right? But quick notes, again, highest priority of things that they're going to be looked for are going to be at the top of the skills and qualifications sections. Things that you see in the preferred qualifications or preferred requirements for maybe a Chainlink job description, those are going to be more of those nice to have. So those are going to be more negotiable. If you have everything, for example, that is in the skills and qualifications, but you're missing the things in preferred qualifications, totally cool. You can definitely apply and you might still make the cut. I will say, of course, that just means that people who have all skills and qualifications plus preferred are going to be prioritized, but it's not to say that you're not going to get an opportunity to at least interview and whatnot for the role. Also, whenever you see that we add application questions, definitely be thoughtful about these responses. We love a good wit response, but whenever we see that you're taking the time to really kind of dissect whatever it is that you're talking about and be thoughtful about it, again, that looks great to us because it doesn't look like you're just one click applying on LinkedIn. It looks like you actually wanted to take your time on the resume, and that's always great. Differentiate yourself. There's going to be, and that's a very, very good way to differentiate yourself. Most of the people that are applying are putting a quick ChatGPT or automated type of response to application questions. So when you're taking the time to really think and be thoughtful about your response, we'll notice that and we love it. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we have started adding location requirements to the job descriptions. So one question we get a lot is, like to our team, is there's locations that are listed at the top of the job description below the job title. But then there's a body that says must be comfortable working, EST, or that, we hire globally. Yes, we hire globally. And yes, there is overlap with Eastern time, just because in general, that's where the company tends to navigate a little bit closer to when we think of things like all hands and whatnot. But the locations that are listed at the top of the job descriptions, those are the locations you're going to want to focus on. We've now gotten into the habit of listing the countries that we're approved to hire out of for the specific roles. So definitely keep those in mind. If you have any questions, feel free to, ping a recruiter in LinkedIn, or, ask away. But will most likely be specific to those geos. And then, like I was saying again earlier, be selective about the roles you're applying to. You really want to think about the quality over the quantity of applications. It's easy to say, oh, I applied to 100 jobs this week. But if you apply to 100 jobs this week and you didn't personalize anything, you didn't set yourself apart when doing that, or really take the time and care when applying to those roles, you're probably going to have a way lower response rate than if you took the time and really were thoughtful about where you were applying. And now talking about key principles. So every company has key principles or key operating principles or whatever. They might use different verbiage to talk about these, but every company has them. These are the principles like that the company will stand by in terms of how it operates. So whenever you're interviewing, there's going to be two things that your interviewers are screening for. technical hard skills as well as the key principle skills, the soft skills. Do you embody these? Are you going to take the culture and really kind of take things a step forward? So know that those are also always going to be things that your interviewers are keeping in the back of their head. So for Chainlink specifically, our key principles are true ownership, prioritize focus, and constructive dialogue. Going back to what I was mentioning with, the product managers, ownership is actually something that you can really display in any role, right? We really want to see that you're going to take the time to, if when you see that something needs to be done, that you're going to take that initiative, you're going to do it, you are taking responsibility and making sure that, we're all working towards the right goal. Another thing, prioritize focus. There's a lot going on in the space, right? Especially when you're talking about an agnostic company like Chainlink Labs that is, supporting a network that reaches every vertical imaginable. There is a lot that can be distracting. So making sure that you're prioritizing what it is you need to be doing, what deliverables, and putting your head down to focus is absolutely crucial. Third, constructive dialogue. Y'all, this is a new space. This is new types of technology. We're all learning by doing in ways, right? The only way that we're going to make sure that we're upholding the best products and services and the best rapport and all of that is if we are talking to one another. You are encouraged to have ideas, to speak up. If you see a way of doing something more efficiently, then call it out. Be the person that's going to own that because it's a team effort. There's that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, Chainlink Labs is like a child. The network's a child. It takes a village to keep it going, from the node operators to the people at Chainlink Labs keeping the lights on to the community advocates, dev experts, everything. Like, your word matters. So speak up. Let's talk about it and let's figure out ways that we can optimize and improve things. Okay. Another thing, if you've ever talked to me or if you've ever sat in on any of these, you know that I will always, like a broken record, talk about the STAR method and how important it is. The reason I highlight this so much, is not to be, redundant about it, is because a lot of the times when we have people that maybe aren't going to be selected for a role, but they're great profiles or they're great candidates, it's because of some sort of communication or something that was missed or from being vetted in the interviews, right? Especially if you're in a non-technical, public, external, or just stakeholder-focused role where communication is a big key, you're going to want to make sure that your thoughts are structured. I'm also very guilty of this, but I tend to ramble when I get nervous. Most people do. And interviewing is very nerve-wracking. We understand that. Like, yes, your interviewer might caveat and basically be able to call it, okay, maybe they were nervous in this call, but you still need to be able to provide the substance for them to be able to screen. So ways to do that and tips and tricks using the STAR method. Again, take the job description, take your resume. I always make two different lists, but I will make a list of things that I'm really proud about, things that I want to make sure that, I can touch on because this is going to show that I'm a great fit and I can, be an advantageous hire for the company, or where I can provide input from my career standpoint. And then I also make a list of the things that are good for the role, right? So also, and then thirdly, you can also always tie these into key principles, but create talking points for yourself. Basically make short answer prompts or paragraph type prompts out of the job description, plug in some of those talking points, go over those in your head. So that way, if you're on a call with somebody that is making you really nervous and your adrenaline's going, you're starting to ramble, you're losing your train of thought, your brain has already been trained and has exercised talking about these specific things. So if you're going to talk about a time you delivered on a project and why that project was so important, how you really demonstrated critical thinking, problem solving skills, you can really break down the things that are going to be relevant in a concise way and make sure that you are highlighting all of those important key deliverables there. So now, to quickly highlight over some of the programs that we have. Many of y'all have probably heard of the developer experts and community advocate programs, But if you are coming from a more junior background, whether you're currently studying or just finished studying or are brand new to the space and are trying to figure out how to, get your foot in the door, doing or just being a part of the community is always a really, really great way to do this. You can be a part of, I call these extracurricular activities, but you can do extracurriculars like from outside organizations. It doesn't have to be Chainlink specific. But of course, if you are looking to get into Chainlink, what better way to do that than being a part of some of the programs we have? So if you find yourself as being like somebody more technical, I would definitely recommend doing the Developer Experts program. This is, I will jokingly say, this is a breeding ground for developer advocates. So look into this. This is going to allow you to be able potentially to travel with Chainlink, to go to different events, network with the team, have speaking opportunities to host workshops, more technical than the one I'm doing now, but having opportunities like this to get your face out there and build your personal and professional brand. For the non-technical side here, and also I know Javier just linked it, but feel free to scan this code or click on the link that was added to get to the Developer Experts application. But if you're on the non-technical side, the Community Advocate Program is a wonderful way to do this. I absolutely love connecting with the community advocates and also the developer experts. That's just a newer program. But I love connecting with y'all. Really, these are the people that, again, could be traveling with Chainlink to host workshops and talks on, new things and the latest and greatest of what's going on at Chainlink and et cetera. I will also know, whenever I have internships or we have junior roles, the first place we're going to post those, even before they goes on our careers page, the first place we're going to post that is a private link to the community advocates and developer experts. You are always going to have first dibs on a role. Well, not always. It depends. If it's a role that we know that the community advocates are going to get there. If you're applying as a community advocate, you're automatically going to the top of the list to be reviewed for that role. At the minimum, if I know that maybe you're a little too junior for a role that you're applying towards, I'm going to hop on a call with you and I'm going to tell you, like from a personalized standpoint, what we can do and how you can take it to the next level and how we can kind of get you there. So at the very least, you're going to get an advisory call. So definitely good ways to leverage the Chainlink team. But yeah, lastly, before we open it up for a Q&A, just really want to highlight and point out that all of you on this call and participating in the Blockmagic Hackathon, y'all have the most important thing that Chainlink looks for, and the hardest thing that we look for is that blockchain passion and that excitement for what we're doing and building here at Chainlink Labs. There's a lot going on, and there's always this saying of missionaries over mercenaries. All of you here are obviously taking on that missionary standpoint, and that's something that's really important. We absolutely love to see that. So any way that we can help you out, please, please, please let us know. And then actually, so this is probably the last one. Please leverage your hackathon projects. Plug them in, shameless plugs everywhere, whether it's in the summary of your LinkedIn profile, whether it's on your resumes, cover letters, just plugging it into an application question. Tag them everywhere, market those hackathon projects. We absolutely love seeing that. Again, it's a really great way to show that you have a lot of passion and drive and excitement for the space, but also a way that you're actually really applying it and getting proactive about it. So this is really wonderful. Definitely leverage those every way that you can. Okay, so now if you're interested in an opportunity at Chainlink, you can scan this QR code here and it will take you to our careers page. But with that being said, I can open it to a Q&A. If you want to help me out with that, Ramin, please.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation. Always a lot of great information, and thanks for the small promotion to the Community Advocates program that I lead. It's always nice to be able to give you some resumes from the Community Advocates for some open roles. So thank you again.
Absolutely. And thank you for all the community advocates that you're connecting me with.
Cool. Thank you so much, Myra. I saw some questions. I will ping them here on the screen. We have this one. I don't know if you can answer from talent point of view?
So how does Chainlink approach product development in Web3 compared to traditional web products? Oh, that's a great question. So I guess that can be answered in a couple different ways. So in general, Chainlink Chainlink's products and the way that we're going to approach product development is going to be different than others because our products, first, you have to kind of specify if it's a B2C or a B2B or kind of where that product market fit is going to be, right? Just like traditional web products, you always have to find that product market fit, emphasizing on the market aspect. So it's really important to know what market you're going for with whatever product, and then you have to tailor to that. So for example, data streams is being tailored for derivatives, right? So that's going to be probably a little bit of a different product development like approach than, let's say, maybe like functions or even like a VRF or a CCIP or automations. But essentially, those are all going to be tailored depending on where that product market fit's going to lie.
Awesome, thank you. I saw this one, and it's interesting because I have many people asking these questions.
Is it wrong to apply for more than one technical role, saying backend and data engineering, if you have experience? Sorry. No, I mean, totally cool if you're applying to multiple roles as long as you meet the skills and qualifications. I just say avoid spamming the applications because you want to have positive association to your profile and name. You want to make sure that the ones that you're applying to are relevant. But if you fit the job description, absolutely apply away.
Awesome. And here's some advice about the resumes, if there exist some red flags.
So any red flag elements that immediately disqualify a candidate's resume from Web3 and Chainlink hiring process. So it really kind of depends. I wouldn't say, again, this is one of those things that's really subjective, depending on the role, what's relevant, and to the profile, right? So one thing that Chainlink really does look for is longevity. So if we see that you're jumping around from jobs every few months, that's probably not going to be something that's attractive to us. We definitely want to show that commitment, go and get stuff. You're going to, see a project through, things like that. We want to know that that's there. And then another thing, and this is just kind of in general, we really want to kind of stay focused on I'm trying to figure out the ways to word this. Don't get lost in all the fun, essentially. Whenever you are going to be applying or you have your resumes, the clout talk, all the fun stuff that's going to be on crypto Twitter that's fun for, shit posting, that's that, right? When you're coming into the professional side, make sure that you have your professional hat on.
Definitely. Yeah, thanks. I saw another one about the interviews.
Okay, so anyone who's ever gone through a Chainlink interview process knows it's lengthy. I mean, we're both laughing here because we know you're going to be dragged through quite the process. This is not a 2 or 3 interview steps and you're done. But it definitely also, again, ranges depending on the role, the seniority, all of that, right? Because you think about if you're hiring somebody like an intern or somebody who's in a more junior role, they're probably not having to meet with advisors and Sergey or Steve and all of these more leadership focused type calls. They're probably going to have lesser calls. In general, the standard that you're going to see at Chainlink is first a recruiter screen. Second, you'll have a hiring manager call. Third, you're going to have team interviews. So those are going to be multiple calls that get scheduled in tandem that are going to be with your most relevant stakeholders or teammates. After that, or in tandem to that, you'll also have a case study. Again, it's going to kind of vary depending on the role because the case studies for an engineer might be a technical interview, where a case study for a salesperson is going to be more like a role play. But you'll have some sort of apply what you know. And then from there, we will have leadership calls or culture calls. Again, it kind of starts to differentiate depending on the role and the seniorities.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to maybe add that Chainlink Labs is a remote company. And I think that makes a little bit different between like a Web3 100% remote role compared to a in-office position?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Also, I just saw this in the chat. Are there any location restrictions for dev experts? Not for dev experts. So definitely slide your way in there, because dev experts, the world is your oyster for the program. But we do get a little bit more specific of like whenever it comes to actual full-time hiring. Beyond the number of interview rounds, how long does the process take? Okay, so again, this one really depends. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I've had candidates go through 7 interviews. I've had candidates go through 17 interviews. 17 is not normal. That was very lengthy. But that's gonna create it to really vary. Also, one thing that a caveat is, if you are going through the interview process during conference rush season, so like what we just went through this spring, and what was going to probably be like September to November, you're probably going to see delays in the process if the people you're interviewing with are some of the people that are going to these conferences. So it really depends. We try to keep you, get you hired from within somewhere between 40 to 60 days. But depending on the role, how many interviews are required, and who's on that panel, it could honestly take anywhere from a month to 4 months.
Awesome. And I have here a question about compensation.
Compensation paid in tokens. So compensation, the way that's structured here at Chainlink is based off geography. So based off the cost of living score for the city or country that you're located in, that's where we'll pull that information of. But what you can expect to kind of be universal is our link incentive programs. So you're going to have a component that's going to be paid in fiat, or if you're in a country like Argentina, we'll probably pay you in like USDC or something. But you're going to have a form that's going to be paid in a fiat or stablecoin if needed. And then you're going to have a component that's we call it a TBU program. So this is essentially the token offering. What we'll do is we'll take the average of the token. Whenever you start, that's a price that you lock in for a 4-year grant program. And then that gets paid out annually. When it's time for that cash out, you actually get to decide if you want it fully like fiat, fully token, or if you want it split 50-50. And that is going to be tied to the units that you lock in at the time. So you're going to get paid out those units. So price goes up, you get paid whatever that equivalent is at the time. And same thing with vice versa.
Awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And I have a last question here.
Yeah. Also, backtracking on that other about compensation. One thing that's really exciting to announce, because this is brand new to Chainlink, everybody is now going to be offered benefits. So if you're applying to a role outside of the compensation piece, you're all going to get like benefits, like, so, health insurance, stuff like that, those types of coverage, which is a really great call out and something we're really excited about. So any location, country is fine for applying, even though it's specified. No. So I would specifically look at the locations that are listed right under the job title. So those locations, those geotags, are going to be usually follow the country that's listed. So if, let's say, I'm posting something and it says Berlin, Germany, I don't care if you're in Frankfurt or Hamburg or Dusseldorf. You can be wherever, just as long as it's in Germany. What's interesting about our current ATS is that we have to tag a specific city. So you'll see the cities are often listed there, and we usually will pick like a capital or like a big hub. But focus on the countries that are listed and geotagged right below the job description.
Awesome. And we have a new question here about compensation again.
So is compensation scaled for the geography? So we use like a database called Radford for this. It's most of the big tech companies use these as well. But it's going to be based off the cost of living score. So we actually have a few different geo tiers for the US, and some of those might overlap with other places around the world. It's going to depend, but Radford database is really kind of where we pull stuff from.
Awesome. I don't see any other questions. I just wanted to highlight this great comment from TP.
Awesome. Tippy absolutely loves. Yeah, Tippy is a great example of somebody that I will hop on calls with. Just do check-ins and we'll talk, hiring strategy and games. Love it.
Awesome. I don't see any other questions. I don't know if you want to add something, Myra.
Well, I think, yeah, if y'all do have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Historically, I've always said, reach out to me on LinkedIn, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. I've got a lot of inboxes every single day on LinkedIn. I'm kind of drowning in LinkedIn now, but you can reach me on Twitter. That's probably going to be the least congested area, ironically, to be able to track me down. But feel free to add me. I'll do my best to get to them on LinkedIn. I'm being realistic with y'all. There is a lot of congestion right now on LinkedIn.
I can imagine. Awesome. So thank you so much for your time, Myra. I really appreciate this presentation. And yeah, hope to see you soon.
Likewise. All right, y'all have a good one.
You too. Thanks, Myra.